to favorite people.
Yes, tea time for me, it's like the perfect tea party. I used to invite people around for tea, but that doesn't happen anymore.
Well, there's a lot of things that are not happening anymore, but we are moving to the new things to be
Yeah,
happy.
have tea in Chicago.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, maybe I'll get even the bunny in the video if I'm lucky enough to grab him. But yeah, what can you tell us what happened after the session? You said there's just so many synchronicities and things like that happened, and
I just keep on seeing more and more and more. So I'll probably go with the most recent thing and then have to go backwards because there are so many. So, oh no, first I'll start off with my daughter. Okay, so when we did that clearing and I was laughing so much because she was funny and you noticed all her dry humor and so on. And then we talked about her taking out these connections that she put in the box. And then she got this swishy new coat.
mm-hmm.
Okay. So it turned out that it was literally on that day she bought herself a new coat.
Oh.
She suddenly got €200 vouchers from 2 different places from work. And they just suddenly appeared. And so she went out and bought this new coat. So that was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
And then I showed you that picture of that pear tree that I made for Christmas one year.
Right. Yeah.
So it was a cutout tree that I stuck on the wall like a white silhouette of a pear tree, an espaliered pear tree. And I put these beautiful, my most favorite baubles on them, the beautiful glass ones. And I hung that on there. And so when I was looking through all my pictures, I saw it the other day, and there were 8 levels to this tree. And we talked about the 8 lives, or the incarnations, with the specific baubles put on, like each life was like a little jewel of a bauble. And so I was just,
There's a lot of things. It's always happening, isn't it? Like after sessions, you notice that it really matches up perfectly with your life. I can put the tree as a thumbnail, just interesting. Yeah, a lot of people tell me that there's some things on the day. I think when you also the fact that she bought something new, it's like always like a metaphor for the new beginning, a change of energies, and maybe raise in vibration, because
yeah, so it's that perfect synchronistic shift. And then with my eldest son, he just started going to some therapy just to sort out his childhood and what he'd gone through with his step family and all this. And the therapist said to him, "It looks like you're putting things in boxes." And of course, when we looked at it, he had this whole stack of boxes he was putting things in to sort things out. So that was also the same time. I don't know whether it was to the day or it was in the same week that the therapist said that to him.
Yeah.
Pretty interesting.
It's amazing, yeah, because I remember seeing the boxes with he labeled them with emotions. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's great for other people to see that is, that level of reality it exists. And when you get that kind of very clear synchronistic transfer, it's great, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a great confirmation for sure. Yeah, because of course, what you see doesn't mean it doesn't exist, and that affects us a great deal. It really feels differently when you work at that level. You at a soul level, and you fix everything, you redo. Because I mean, the thing is, like when you fix something now, or there are all the lives like running in parallel, and if in one of the lives you get to the conclusion, or you wake up, you understand how it works, you change the timelines of all your lives at the same time. It just takes one spark as a catalyst in one of the lives to change the chain of life.
And that's totally, it blows people's minds in terms of time paradigms, doesn't it? Because it's not time, it's energy, attention, it's focus. Yeah. So the other thing, this is now I've just seen the connection. We took the net off me, the sort of AI manufactured net. And so my car, which is a glorious sort of metallic orange. Okay, it was a really cute car, and I bought it new 15 years ago. But I also knew it was getting to the end of its life, so it had a kind of trajectory in its behavior, mechanics, and so on. And last week, I drove it. So this is after our session, of course, but I drove it to work, and half a mile from my work, the steering just went. So an electrical fault stopped my ability to steer this car. So the car then, I managed to stop it. I knew it was my fault, stopped it from going into oncoming traffic. So it just bumped onto the side, the verge. And then I found out what stopped it rolling really fast. It was that the bumper, which had already been repaired by someone who was very kind to me. Okay, so there was a good energy in that bumper. Okay. Caught on this metal bolt, which was on a post in the hedge, slowed the whole thing down. So I rolled twice like this. Okay, ended up like this on my side, had to climb out of my top window. Completely unharmed. And the only thing that happened was I was picking up a rose briar that had fallen out of the hedge just to tidy up the road, so it wouldn't be a mess for everyone else. And I pricked my thumb on a rose bush, right, which was just like fairy tale land. It was so funny. So that was for me. What do you think? I'm fascinated to see what you picked up from that, but I've got a theory.
It's interesting that actually you mentioned about the car break-in. It's exactly when I had like a few people who told me that their cars broke last week, right? Yeah, like what's going on? And then always I hear the same stories from different people all the time. It doesn't matter if it's like I couldn't sleep 2 days in a row, or I feel dizzy, or everybody's cars broke or something. Like the synchronicities are amazing.
I felt like it was an AI energy work against me, but couldn't hold me anymore. That's what I felt.
I think the scars, they belong to the matrix, to be honest, because normally what I see on other planets, the cars are, you like stand and you create a perfect car for yourself with your imagination connected to it's like an extension of your consciousness, okay, that you travel inside. So you use your own energy for that. But these cars are made by somebody out of whatever material. Nothing is like really biodegradable, or it's all pollution and garbage at the end of it all. So I just feel like, I think there's a lot of things breaking down. I had crazy stuff happening to my computer, but I'm so used to it by now. I just don't understand anything in this systems.
Well, I felt like this last week has been kind of one thing after another, kind of washing like a wave, and you're like, right, just I'm not gonna let that bring me down, I'm not gonna let that bring me down, I'm not gonna let that bring me down. And it was generally kind of systematic stuff, systems, or like I've got this wonderful new printer for my books, yay, but I can't install the driver because this computer is now gone through 3 different updates just this morning. It's taken hours. It's like electrical systemic stuff is kind of hard pushed against our progress.
Yeah, there's I had to deal with some things, like with my little daughter, and just simple as feeling of falling out, and then the doctor is, instead of putting the filling in, she gave me a lecture how I refused all the treatments and things, and seriously, I couldn't hold it. I told her what I think about the system, and she went like this, and the other 2 people went like that too, and then I reminded what she said last time, and then what she's saying now is totally different regarding the same problem. So you can't just change so obviously it's all based, I said, obviously it's all based on how much money, you can make. And she looks at me. And because I said, I'm sorry, but for me, my child's, health And she was already shaken and holding her cry, the children's, she's 6, okay? For me, psychological health is the most important. The tooth is gonna fall out. It's anyway, it's baby tooth, whatever. But she made such a big deal about it, and she made her worried about it. Like it's so just so insane. It's almost like the whole medical system. Hopefully, you don't think YouTube, this is a snake running around your DNA. It just tells you a lot about it. They're trying to do to us.
Well, when I listen to the little children at school talk to, say, other teachers, and I just, catch their conversations. So I'm talking about 3, 4, 5-year-olds in this case. And you can see that there's a certain kind of pride that when they talk about COVID, if mummy got COVID or I got COVID, and you just think, oh, well, okay, the common cold is COVID. So yes, in a way you're accurate by saying this, but of course this is all flu or, the reaction. So it's one of two things, isn't it? But you could just see that it's turned into a social pride. And the little babies don't even realize what they're just absorbing. Oh.
Yeah, that's what they're trying to do to people, and also it just so the system revolves around. I can't help but say, I mean, I had a few people who had problems after this, and one of them, I mean, she can't even have children anymore, and it's unexplained. So the explanation she told me about, like I was, it's my friend, like I wouldn't say anything, but I wanted to see how she explains it, that she had one perfectly fine, no problem, and here she can't, all of a sudden. She says, well, my God doesn't want me to have another one.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's okay, well, your responsibility is not your responsibility. There's always somebody to blame. So if they, after this, get it, that's going to be us who did not get it, responsible for them getting it. Yeah, the same thing about the, my God doesn't let me. That just means God doesn't want me to have another one. Little me, this little me, like David Icke always says, get out of this mentality. And
Yeah,
it's
lion roar, isn't it? Stand up.
people just that, stop believing this. All these gods, blue collar, multiple hands, all this. They just came here to get hands on human souls, on our great imagination. Look at your books. I mean, I'm just actually right here. I mean, look how we can do it. Like, just they cannot do any of this, right? Second one, I mean, I'm looking at reading this over and over. But yeah, I mean, that's the whole point. They wanted to grab. They divided the world into camps. This camp belongs to Shiva God. This camp belongs to Allah. This camp belongs to Catholic God or wherever, and all just and they put you in this mentality in this little cage. You mean nothing. You really mean nothing. You're very easily replaceable. If you don't drop, I saw the other day, kids didn't understand what was going on. There were 2 guys dropped on the snow and started praying, like on the snow, bare feet. And we're walking, it was freezing, -7 Celsius. I'm walking with a sled and with the kids, and they're like, Mom, what is this? How to explain. I mean, I don't want to go into details with them. I want them actually to figure stuff out for themselves, but I came here knowing. But when you have to really work on deprogramming yourself, there's so many levels of programs we got.
You feel it. You feel the offness, don't you? But then you've got to work out, you have to give it a label, a categorization within the system to understand it fully. You always feel it. But, I was raised Islamic. I never told you this. Okay. So I did Ramadan every year. And I got horribly dehydrated as a child, because imagine a month where you get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and you only eat at 6 or 7 o'clock at night, drink as well. And I can't believe that my parents did that to me. And I was just, being a good little girl. But the great thing is the wake up realization means you're so much more strong and resilient and can bring a much clearer message across. But it is just phenomenal.
Right. It's two sides. It's like one side is people are proud to announce what religion they belong to the society. Another side, they're doing it to please their selfish God. He's a narcissistic, selfish, G-O-D-D-O-G, dog, right? Where beings come from and what they've done to humans. They erased human memory. They replaced the real history with fake. They contributed to all this fakeness of the world as together with the other. You know, how many times did they completely erase humans from the face of Earth and burned books and everything?
Have you watched The Tin Man? You and the kids. Have you watched that series? I think it's an Amazon Prime one.
Yeah.
So it's Tin Man 1 and 2, set in Oz, but they call it the outer zones. So you and I know what that means in terms of the shape of the planet. So instead of just Oz, it's the outer zone. And then you see the history and all sorts of elements. And the equivalent to Dorothy is called DG, as in God's initials are in there. How interesting. And there's just layers and layers of information in this, children's story. And I keep coming across that. By the way, there were two more things about my session, that add to just the pile for anyone else who's ever in any way doubting what you do. So remember the work we did with my father?
Yeah.
Okay,
right.
So I thought, after my accident, I needed to borrow some money from somewhere because I just had to hire a car and buy a new car. That's not like, I just got it in the bank, let's bring it in. And I just didn't know how to ask him, because usually it would be, no, don't manipulate me, etc., etc. And I sent him a picture, and he was so sweet. He was a real human being father. It was very exciting. That was because I know of the work we did. I know that was part of that. There's more. There are even more stories, but I just thought that those are so beautifully obvious. You can just see shifts, that I wouldn't have thought was possible in this lifetime.
Right. Yeah, it's an energy shift. And a lot of time physically, if you want to start up something new in life, you have to really, physically start doing something to shift energetically. Sometimes it takes a move from one house to another. Other times it's like you redo something. You can move the furniture and get the same result. There are different strategies you can do. Or you can start wearing something bright instead of black every day. Just because others do it and you don't want to be different, white sheep and a black group of sheep. I don't know how to explain it.
But it's also that sensitivity to your own awareness, isn't it? After our work, I knew things, I could feel it inside, of course, shift in the freedom, the expansion. That's how I like to hang out anyway, as you know, but it just was freer and looser. And then, so I came back from this glorious family weekend with all my children, which was just beautiful. And the ex-husband, because of the work we did, he couldn't bear to be in my space. He kept on edging like meters and meters away. It's hilarious. And it was very clear the energy that they were experiencing from him and from me, and the difference, and, just crystal clear. So I came home, and then I realized, no, I want to cut my hair. No hairdresser had ever said, yes, do it. And I just thought, finally, I'm just going to do it because I want to. I shifted all my house around. Now my car is shifted around. It's like I was 50 for my birthday. And I've always said, when I get to 50, then I'll do something else. And of course, it's not that I'm doing something else, but it's just like a new beginning on everything, right? We've got to that point. Now we've got it all clear and shifted. Now we're ready to go for another 50, So.
Yeah, exactly. Or maybe even more, who knows? I mean, I believe our consciousness soon enough will be able to prolong our lives whatever we want. I mean, I truly believe when you are free and clean, you can do anything. You're not dependent on fake beliefs. At this age, you get this disease. At that age, you get. Look at all the commercials. I mean, seriously. It's like, I turned this age and I got this disease, and you better take this for that, because my doctor recommends it. Yeah, it's just
Or you
like,
get all these, because you're a certain age and Google knows, or whatever search engine YouTube knows how old you are because of information you given them a long time ago. So the adverts you get, like, life insurance, if you don't, it's really serious, your children, and all these things about death and going, and I'm laughing outrageously loudly because I won't be put down. I just refuse. I could either get really angry or I could just go, ha ha,
yeah, programs upon programs upon programs all the time. It's the same thing about childbearing age. I mean, I know so many people who had the last child before they turned 50, and the child was perfectly fine. And to
But
be
even that, Oksana, I hadn't had my period for 2 years, and it just came to just 10 days ago, which was also fascinating.
you can shift your, physiologically, you can shift yourself into anything you want. You really can. It just, we don't believe it. We associate ourselves with the age, and that's a problem. But then, nothing is impossible, and you have to deprogram yourself. And yes, it takes time to deprogram. And yeah, and the session is only a catalyst, isn't it? It's a catalyst for the ideas, for the expansion, for understanding how I got this and that, and how I can get rid of this and that, to cleanse. So you have to.
Because you're a very clear witness to everything you see, you are. And then we get to hear someone standing very clearly, strongly, talking about ourselves, our own mechanics. And I just noticed this, for example, 2 days ago I was starting to get depressed because, just briefly, because I wasn't going to let it, but I had an argument with the man that I rent this house from, because it's very damp, because it's an old house. And I wrote to him 2.5 months ago, and nothing had happened. And he came to me when I was cleaning my new car, and wanted to talk then and there. And I said, no, I'm not going to talk then and there. You had 2.5 months to deal with this. And I still came inside, and I felt like his disapproval was weighing down on me, and I didn't like it, and I was trying to avoid it all day. And by the evening, I wouldn't have it. I just couldn't tolerate someone else's limitation restricting me and my energy. And I just threw it off, and I shifted my energy up, and I just started looking at all the most beautiful new fabrics and wallpapers for my new house. I spent a whole evening with the cat on my lap and just gloriously indulging in it, because I was not going to have someone else's limiting structure, probably being manipulated by something else, trying to interfere with me. It's just like, no, I'm not tolerating it anymore. And I might have let that go on for a bit longer before, but now it's just like, nope.
Yeah, I know how it feels. Actually, because I feel like when you do something under pressure or against your will, at the end you always regret. You always do, and you feel like you disrespect yourself for actually doing it just because somebody was pressuring, and just because you felt like that person who was authority knew better. And it feels very good saying no sometimes, like, I just took my child and walked out of this office with all these dentists, and I felt good because I can find somebody else who would treat us nicely and not make my child cry. So, I mean, what is the point? There's always the alternative to any situation. But and don't be afraid of saying no. Don't be afraid of sounding or looking stupid. Like, that's always runs through your head. That's your critical, that's your analytical mind says, well, if you said that to her, it would mean that you just, no, I don't disrespect her. I said it in a nice way. I wasn't like making a conflict, but I said that I have to think about it. And some things I feel like, put on us, because the extra procedures cost money and insurance pays off. And I understand that, you need to pay for equipment and stuff I mean, but that's the truth. Okay, that's my truth.
But also it's because, isn't it, we're so used to just, you know, you may be a child, but you have to do this thing because our system says you have to do this thing. And it could cause a deep trauma in a child who's so much softer and more, you know, that impact of the environment hitting a child is so much more felt. And you know, you can have fears generated from that one crazy occasion, and to make us just, you know, just grin and bear it, just swallow it, just put up with it.
Right.
That's what we've been doing to our children all this time. You know, I'm sorry, but the, you know, the pedophilia that's going on in the world, it's because we've just thought we just have to grin and bear with it. We just have to, you know, take it on the chin. And it's so important that we're standing up on these very tiny momentary details of each child. I love it so much. I had a child come to me from my new little drama class where I'm, you know, playing with emotional intelligence with these small people aged 3 to 5. Okay. And this a beautiful boy who's had a really difficult start in life. I think was very much abused, but was adopted into a new family. So huge history, tall boy for his age. And he was just being annoying and a nuisance. Okay. So I just had to find gentle ways to try and, you know, be able to look for everyone else in this group. And finally, I just called him over to me and I said, you know, just tell me what's going on. And he said, I don't feel like I'm important. I need to feel more important. I need you to make me feel more important. And I thought, wow, this is brilliant. And I said to him, you are really important to me. And I also find every other person in this room is really important to me. But I'm so glad you came and told me that. But these children know what they need, is what I was trying to say. They truly know what they need. And if we can somehow be open to that, then we've got it, haven't we?
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing, because it's beautiful that those children can talk to you openly like this. It's important. I also feel like every time I stand up for my child, because they cannot, they didn't reach that age that they can and they would be listened to. I mean, she really appreciates. She said, "Mom, you're so strong. You know, I wanted to leave. I was holding my tears back." And you know, like they start trusting you. They really do. If you stand up for them, because I always feel like a child myself. I knew exactly how she felt. I never that connection with my childhood was that feeling how I felt each and every time. So in a way, because it's happening at the same time, you're still a child on the same timeline. I kind of feel like that child, but I'm an adult body, so I can really advocate for children. I feel like the same about you, because people who are truly connected to their child selves, they can advocate for children in a very special way. You know, you feel through them, you feel what they need. You don't like treat them like, you know, they don't know better. I know better. I mean, for me, children know better than me, and from that we have to start and respect them. Don't look at their little bodies, look at their huge souls and bright minds, and not programmed yet like you are. They can tell you much more, you know, if you just open up and listen to them. Yeah.
They tell you great. Yes, I was just joking with my daughter today that because I also teach ballet, you know, so sometimes I'm this sort of big looking body next to these very small little people's bodies. And these 3-year-olds were saying, you've got such a big bottom. And I was thinking, you know, when I was 10, 11, 12, I would have been so hurt by that. And I just was killing myself laughing because, yes.
Oops, you froze.
I know, don't. Oh, sorry, that was a funny moment to freeze. Have I unfrozen?
Yeah, you
Is it still frozen?
It's AI reactor. AI doesn't understand.
Just classic. That's a classic. Anyway, so I just said, yeah, I am really big because I've got a huge body compared to your little bodies, you know. But that's the worst a child can insult me with, and it's not, you know, it's just a beautiful piece of their perception because we are really big to them.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of stuff happens, right? I've been in the same situation on a skating ring. I had to grab onto somebody because somebody else was pushing me. We like hugged each other. And those people are like, you know. Yeah, I mean, there's stuff like that. Well, it's probably a good time to end on that note.
Yeah, don't get too serious. Don't get too serious.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, thank you so much for talking, and we can make it into weekly conversation with Dr. Isabel on stories that your kids bring in school. But
I'll make it into a tea party next time. Instead of a glass, I'll bring a teacup. We can. Here early morning, but it feels like a proper tea party. Let's do that.
I'll call it a tea party. Okay, well, bye everybody, and give us ideas what to talk about for our tea party next time. Thank you. Bye. Bye. Bye.